Hey there, welcome to the most surprising and entertaining corner of the internet. Before we dive into today's story, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more unique, laugh-worthy, and captivating content you won't find anywhere else. Now let's pour a glass and raise a toast to a topic you never thought you'd hear about: why Pope Francis loved alcohol. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this delightfully unexpected dive into the holy and humorous. When you think about religious leaders, the first image that comes to mind probably isn't one with a wine glass in hand and a peaceful smile stretched across their face. But if you ever met Pope Francis, you might have noticed a certain sparkle in his eye at the mention of a good vintage. Wine, after all, has been part of Catholic tradition for centuries, and for Pope Francis, it wasn't just a symbolic beverage, it was something deeper, cultural, spiritual, and even, in the right moments, joyful. Growing up in Argentina, Pope Francis was no stranger to the vineyard lifestyle. Argentina isn't just a football paradise, it's also one of the wine capitals of the world, especially famous for Malbec. In his youth, long before the papal robes and Vatican balconies, Jorge Mario Bergoglio likely saw wine as something ordinary yet sacred, a common element of family dinners, church gatherings, and local celebrations. He learned to appreciate the smell, the color, and the richness of a good bottle not just as alcohol, but as tradition, craftsmanship, and community. As he rose through the ranks of the Church, Pope Francis carried that down-to-earth simplicity with him. He became known as the People's Pope, a man who ditched the extravagant apartments and chose to live modestly. He shunned the luxury cars and preferred a used Renault. So when it came to alcohol, it's easy to imagine that he didn't keep it locked away in a Vatican cellar for show. He probably enjoyed it the same way regular people do: at dinner, in moderation, and with good company. Of course, the story wouldn't be complete without acknowledging the spiritual connection. Wine is more than a beverage in Christianity, it's a representation of the blood of Christ. Every Sunday during Mass, wine is transformed into something sacred. For Pope Francis, who has led millions in the celebration of the Eucharist, wine wasn't just a drink, it was a reminder of sacrifice, faith, and unity. But even outside the sacred ceremony, that association might have made each sip more meaningful. A glass of red at the end of a long day could feel like more than relaxation, it could feel like reflection. Being the head of the Catholic Church is no walk in the park. Imagine the pressures of leading over 1 billion followers, navigating political minefields, traveling the world, and constantly being under a microscope. The occasional glass of wine may have been his secret weapon to unwind, reflect, and center himself after a day filled with back-to-back meetings with heads of state, bishops, and theologians. It's not hard to picture him in a quiet room, slipping off his shoes, and pouring a modest serving of a fine Italian red. No indulgence, just a moment of peace. He also had a sense of humor. Pope Francis was never afraid to joke, to smile, and to show the world that faith doesn't have to be stiff and joyless. Maybe his love for alcohol was part of that light-hearted personality, a sign that he didn't take himself too seriously. He often reminded people that even the holiest among us are human. And what's more human than enjoying a simple pleasure now and then? Whether it was a crisp white wine on a summer evening or a bold Malbec that reminded him of home, Pope Francis may have believed that life's small delights were also gifts from God. Let's not forget the diplomacy. When you travel the world as the Pope, you're offered all kinds of hospitality. Leaders toast your arrival, present you with their country's finest wines, and invite you to dinners filled with delicacies. Turning down a ceremonial drink could be seen as dismissive. Pope Francis, ever the people person, likely accepted those glasses with a warm smile, not just as a courtesy, but as a gesture of friendship and respect. He sipped not just for himself, but on behalf of the Church, for the sake of unity. Then there's the community factor. Pope Francis often spoke about togetherness, breaking bread, sharing meals, and engaging in real, heartfelt conversation. And in many cultures, those conversations happen over drinks. Wine and conversation go hand in hand. A shared bottle opens up laughter, deepens stories, and warms hearts. It breaks down barriers. For a pope who emphasized connection, alcohol wasn't about intoxication, it was about inclusion. It was the liquid bridge between people of different walks of life. Some say that in the privacy of the Vatican, Pope Francis enjoyed learning about different wines from around the world. He may have been an unofficial connoisseur, interested not in getting drunk, but in understanding the art behind every bottle. The grape, the soil, the climate, the aging. He respected the process. After all, if God created the grapes, then perhaps understanding how they transform into wine was, in a way, understanding divine beauty. And finally, perhaps the most personal reason of all, he knew that joy matters. Pope Francis often encouraged people to live with joy, to embrace life, to dance, to smile, to love fully. For him, alcohol may have simply been a small piece of that bigger philosophy. A glass of wine doesn't solve all the world's problems, but it can soften the edges. It can turn an ordinary evening into something memorable. It can bring people closer, remind them to breathe, and give thanks. And for Pope Francis, that alone made it worthwhile. So the next time you raise your glass, think of the Pope, not as the man in white waving from a balcony, but as someone who understood that life is to be savored. That joy is found in small things. That sometimes, faith and fun can sit at the same table. Cheers to Pope Francis, to good wine, and to you for staying with us through this holy happy hour. Don't forget to subscribe for more bold stories, unexpected takes, and soul-refreshing entertainment. Until next time, stay blessed, stay curious, and pour one out for the most relatable Pope in history.